For those of you who probably not familiar with the situation in Thailand, you may not know or you may not heard about the situation in Southern Thailand, but actually it has been there for quite a long time, since 1940 something. The three southern provinces of Thailand, which north of Malaysia, it's Muslim-dominated area, and part of another province. So we normally call 3 or 4 provinces of southern Thailand. And as you may know or may not know, Thailand majority religion is Buddhism. So the conflict is actually not really related or much heavy on religious conflict, but it's sort of like a historical grievance, economic disparity, cultural and religion different. The situation is volatile in some government, sometimes violence, heavy or just small incident here and there. So it depends on many internal factors in Thailand, like who's the government at that time, what sort of military leader thinking, whether this is a hardcore military or the peace-loving kind of military leader, something like that. So Sam has been involved, I think, in the peace talks a few times. So I myself very much like to hear what he has been seeing or know or doing in the southern Thailand problems right now under the new government. Okay, Sam, please.
All right. So I'll just go ahead. Thank you, Suit, a very good friend, long-time friend. Yeah, we've known each other since we were young and beautiful. and he mentioned that, I like to sing, yes. And we actually make good karaoke partners, because I will tell people that, I like to sing, and Surik likes to hear me sing, so so the two of us make good, partners in the karaoke. We will not be, arguing for the microphone, because he doesn't like to sing. He just like to listen. And he will sit there and then choose all the songs he want to listen, and I will be singing. So we make good partners. But anyway, my apologies, for presenting on the issues in Southern Thailand, because this is, I was, hoping that maybe Suit or someone else from Thailand can present on the issue. But I actually, yes, have been working on the issue for some time now, and it's just my observation about the situation in the area and the peace process. So just also a shout out to some of my students who are here. Abdullahi Muawiyah is here, and I see also the names of Atira, Ainur, Nadia Payo also here. Okay, so
welcome.
Nadia is from Southern Thailand, so I hope that she can also give some inputs later on. So let me just share my screen. Is it possible?
Sure. Yeah, I'll let you share it. You allow you to share. Okay.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Just coming. Make it full screen. Is it possible?
Yes. Okay,
yes,
so
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
okay. So this is the topic of my presentation today, updates on Southern Thailand or Patani peace process. I put there /Patani because, if you ask the people of Patani, the Malay Muslim people of Patani, they would prefer to use the term Patani rather than Southern Thailand, because they feel that the term Southern Thailand, does not really reflect, the area, because they are people of Patani, and Patani has a long history. And so they would always refer to themselves as the Malay Muslim of the Patani region. So for those that are not familiar with the history or the geography of Southeast Asia, I would just go quickly, through the background of the situation and to the background of the conflict before going on, to the peace process proper. So this is the area that we are talking about. This is the what they call the deep south or the southern provinces of Thailand, and these three areas are the conflict areas that we are focusing on tonight, the provinces of Patani, Yala, and Narathiwat. Okay, there's also Satun over here, but Satun is not really, part of the conflict zone. So this is the main conflict zones or conflict areas in southern Thailand. And down here is Malaysia. Malaysia borders this area. So just a bit of history, this whole area actually used to belong to the Sultanate of Patani. And the Sultanate of Patani was actually attacked by the Siam Kingdom, and the Sultanate of Patani collapsed way back in 1785. So if you want to talk about the conflict in southern Thailand, conflict in Patani, you actually have to go back all the way to 1785. When the Sultanate collapsed, because of invasion. The invasion from the Siam kingdom from the north. And then this whole area was ruled by the Siam Kingdom, and then in 1909 the Siam and the British divided this area, into two parts. The southern part of the Sultanate of Patani was given to the British. Okay, so the British got Terengganu, Kelantan, and parts of Kedah here. Okay, and then the other areas were taken by Siam as part of Siam, and later on become part of Thailand. So you see, this whole area, the people here belong to the same ethnic group. They have the same identity, Malay, Muslim. They speak the same Malay dialect, in these two areas. Okay, so this is the area that we are talking about. So I am actually living here in Penang, near Georgetown, and it's not very far to the border from Penang to Thailand. It takes only about, at most 2-hour drive, 1.5 to 2-hour drive. Okay, you drive here and then you go cross the border into Thailand. So this is when you go to the area, you go to the Patani province, you will see signs like this: welcome to Patani province. And it's a beautiful place. I like going there. But sometimes you do see signs like this on the road. This is written in Jawi, or in Arabic they call it Jawi, because the Malay Muslims of Patani, they speak Malay, but their the alphabets that they use would be the Arabic alphabets which they call Jawi. So this is Patani Merdeka, Patani independence. They from some places you will see these things written on the wall, written on the ground. So it is to reflect the struggle, the struggle of the demand, of the people living in that area. So like Suwit mentioned, the conflict has not really it's not a new conflict. It's been going on for many, many years. But at the same time, there have been ups and downs. And most of the incidences actually have happened since 2004. Because since 2004 up to now, and this is data only up to 2017, but actually now there has been more than 7,000 deaths and 1,000 more injured, in this area. And this is the the data from our friends from the Deep South Watch. They would gather data about incidents of death and injuries and all those things. And this is just, to show, how many people actually, have been affected by the conflict. And this is since 2004. Before 2004, it was more or less stable. The conflict was there, but the intensity of the conflict was not so bad before 2004. So why 2004? And these are some of the incidences that happened, in 2004. This is the Masjid Krisay incidents in Patani, the Takbai incidents, and a lot of these things, happen, in the early parts of the conflict. So you see, the numbers, have actually increased from 2004 and 2007, especially, and then goes up and down. So this shows sort of like in terms of timeline, how many people were killed, over the years, how many people were affected during the time of which prime minister. And see here is during the Thaksin, the Thaksin prime ministership, that actually most of the incidents happened, during that time. And it's also interesting to note that, before Thaksin became prime minister, the incidences were not that many, and I actually asked, some of the revolutionary leaders in Patani, why 2004? Why suddenly in 2004, and started with the attack on an army camp in Naratiwat, January 4th, 2004, and they stole a lot of weapons and ammunitions from the camp. More than 300 plus, weapons that they stole, and then those weapons were then used, to attack army camps and police stations and all those things. But why 2004? And they told me that actually, well, I don't know whether this is true or not, but this is based on this story. They told me that it is as a response, to the administration of Thaksin. Because Prime Minister Thaksin, before attacking, Southern Thailand and attacking the movement, he had his policy, of a very harsh policy against drug users, drug peddlers, and it was like a shoot to kill kind of strategy in order to decrease the drugs problem in Thailand. So many thousands of drug users and drug peddlers were killed, during that period. And so he was trying to do the same thing, to the revolutionary movements, and trying to really squash the revolutionary movements by using, the military and using suppression, against these people. So the movements then said that if we do not do this thing, we will be wiped out. So we have to fight back. So that's why, they raided the camp, and then they went on to, to do a lot of the things that they did, especially during that earlier period, in 2000, mid 2000s until the early parts of, like 2012, 2013. So this was all the things that were, going on, during that time. So there was actually, let me see. Okay. The dialogue actually going back, this is during this period, 2012, 2013, and then during the time of the sister of Thaksin, Yingluck, Prime Minister Yingluck, they actually then started a process of dialogue, with the revolutionary movement, and 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 I mean, you can speculate as to why this happened. But by this time, actually Thaksin was already abroad, living abroad, and his sister was prime minister and trying to recover whatever dignity that they have. And one of the problems that that he actually caused was the rise of intensity of the conflicts in southern Thailand. So he was like trying to make amends, with the situation. And then he came to Malaysia. He went to visit a few of the revolutionary leaders in Malaysia, and then persuaded them that, look, let's try to settle this problem. So this was during the time of Yingluck Shinawatra, and this resulted in this first phase of the dialogue process. So the first phase of the dialogue process happened in 2013. Okay, the two sides, the Thai government and the BRN, actually met, for a few times, and then they signed the general consensus on peace dialogue process on 28 February 2013. Okay, so this was something that can be seen as positive, but actually had some problems, because this particular process involved this person by the name of Ustaz Hassan Taib. And Ustaz Hassan Taib was the communication leaders of the BRN. And he actually did not get the, did not get the mandate, or did not get the permission, the full permission of the BRN, to come to this talk. So he lived in Malaysia in exile, as many BRN leaders, and he was actually forced to come to the talks. And for that reason, there was a lot of problems, with the agreement. So, for example, if you look at the agreement that was signed between the Thai government and the BRN in 2013, okay, this is the agreement. It's called the General Consensus on Peace Dialogue Process, and many of the liberation movements, because there are many groups. You have the main group, which is the BRN, the Barisan Revolusi Nasional, National Revolutionary Front, but you also have different factions within BRN. They coordinate, and they are not happy with the dialogue process. And then you also have the other groups, the Patani United Liberation Organization and the National Islamic Revolutionary Front, the Mujahideen group. You have quite a few groups, fighting, for the struggle of the Southern Thailand Patani people. And they were not happy with this general consensus on peace dialogue. And then a few reasons, why they are not happy. Because first of all, they say that this is a document written mostly by the Thai side, and then forced upon the BRN by the Malaysian government, who was acting, as the facilitator of this process. Okay, so there was some manipulation going on. Ustaz Hassan Taib, the one that signed, this particular agreement. Actually, he doesn't read English very well, and then it was a question mark whether he actually understood or not what he signed. And if he had known maybe the details of what is on this document, maybe he would not have signed it. So for example, the document put the constitutional framework into the talks. Okay. So let me see. is one of the others under the framework of the Thai constitution. So this is something that made a lot of the BRN people happy, very unhappy, because they said that, well, look, we are struggling. Our struggle is for independence. When you put, a dialogue in this particular framework, which is under the Thai constitution, then you are, saying that then, we have to set aside our push for independence. So they were not happy because this is done under the framework of the Thai constitution, and at the same time it is seen as diluting the importance of the armed insurgents, and they are not seen as a viable party to the talks, because the document says that this dialogue process is between party A, which is the Secretary General of the National Security Council, and then with the people who have different opinions and ideologies from the state to be referred to as Party B. Okay, so meaning that they are not the only party to the talks, and there are many other parties also, that can and should be part of the talks. And the BRN leadership were not, happy, because this was actually expanding the field of actors. Okay, and at the same time, this document also put the role of Malaysia as the facilitator to the process. Okay, and they were not happy because all the while they have been asking for a mediator. They've been asking for a strong mediator, and they don't want a facilitator to just facilitate the process, and to not give ideas, and to not at least have some leverage on the Thai side. They want a stronger, third party role in the process. So this document was something, that they were not happy with, and they were arguing also that coercive method were used, to get this particular agreement. So this process then, well, it happened, but then something else happened during that time also, because after that there was a coup in 2014, and then the whole process also collapsed. And then Ustad Hassan Taib also, because he realized that he made a mistake in signing the agreement, and then he was trying to come out with his dignity. So what he did was, then he made demands, against the Thai government. In the process, they put in the 5 demands by the BRN, knowing that these demands cannot be, it's not something that can be fulfilled by the Thai government. So in a way, then they cannot say that you cannot blame us for pulling out, because then this government then pull out of the talks because they did not agree to the demands made by Ustad Hassan Taib a few months after this process in February 2013. So moving forward, the process needs to be going. Then Malaysia then was trying to find a way out of this collapse of the process in 2013, and then began to talk to a few other groups, because all of these groups actually are in Malaysia. They have their leaders in exile, either in Malaysia, in Sweden, or in Germany, but many of them actually live in Malaysia. So what was established was a group called Mara Patani. Mara stands for Majlis Shura, or the community of the Patani. Okay, and Mara Patani involves a few other groups apart from BRN, because actually there were also some members of BRN within Mara, but Mara basically had other leaders, such as the other groups. So in this picture, for example, you have delegates, from BRN. You have also delegates from the Patani United Liberation Organization, and then you also have delegates from the Barisan Islam Pembebasan Patani, the National Islamic Front for the Liberation of Patani, and then you have the Mujahideen, you have the other groups. So this group then began to take the role of representing, the desire of the Patani community for independence and for involvement in the talks. So you have this Mara Patani within that. So for example, you have this Pulo. Pulo was one of the leaders also in Mara Patani. Okay, so what? Okay, going back. Okay, going back here. So from dialogue 1, which was with the BRN Hassan group, and then dialogue 2, Thai government with the Mara Patani, except that the Mara Patani group were not really accepted by the people. Okay, because all of these groups within Mara Patani, yes, they've been there since the early 60s. I mean, in fact, Pulo was one of the oldest revolutionary group in Southern Thailand. And then the BIPP also, was an old group, but they lack, the soldiers on the ground. Okay, they lack the soldiers on the ground, meaning that, they don't have a voice on the ground. Most of the violence that were done on the ground, especially since 2004, have been done by the BRN people. But the BRN people, they have a certain way of doing, the activities. For example, they have this strategy of guerrilla warfare, moving in small groups. They have what they call the RKK, Ronda Kumpulan Kecil, going around in small groups, and then one group or one cell, will not have any connection with another cell, because if, for example, members of one cell, are arrested by the authorities, then they will not know, who are members of the other cells, and they will not reveal, these things. So they work in a very secretive kind of way. Violent, yes. Secretive, yes. But mostly belong to the BRN, not to the Mara Patani. So people were questioning, why do we, invite Mara Patani to the talks? Because they are not the ones controlling the combatants on the ground. And the same thing also was questioned then by the Thai government. So then the Thai government decided that, okay, then let's talk to the BRN people again. Let's talk to the BRN people again. So they move on. They set aside their dialogue with the Mara Patani, and they contacted the BRN again, and then they started, this new, this third round, of the dialogue process, now with the BRN, the National Revolutionary Front, and with Malaysia still as the facilitator. Okay. But before Malaysia, okay, there was also the involvement of the international actors, like the like humanitarian dialogue, for example. Humanitarian dialogue, which brought the two sides to Germany. They had a meeting in Berlin, and there were a lot of back channel discussion about the issues and so on. And then so the movements were started by the international actors from abroad, but then Malaysia took over, because Malaysia has always been interested in being part of this process. So in April, a new agreement was signed on the general principles of the peace dialogue process, and this was also done, facilitated by a new facilitator, Tan Sri Abdul Rahim Noor, the former Inspector General of Police, this guy in the middle. So he was appointed by the government at that time to be the facilitator. The previous facilitator during the process involving Mara Patani, was somebody from the research department, Datuk Sri Zamzamin. So he was removed and replaced by the former Inspector General of Police, Tan Sri Abdul Rahim Noor, and they got these general principles of the dialogue process, and they started to discuss issues about how to go about in the process. So they said that we need to focus on three things. One is the reduction of violence, second is public consultations, and then the third one would be on political solutions. So this was the framework. Okay, this was the framework that was that was started, during this particular process. Okay, and this is, when they were having, the meeting, and then with the general consensus, okay, with Tan Sri Rahim Noor as the facilitator. Then Tan Sri Rahim Noor, this guy, unfortunately, his I'm sorry, his days were numbered because he was not on good terms, with the current prime minister. Our current prime minister, Anwar Ibrahim, back back then, when he was in prison, and this guy was the Inspector General of Police, and this was also the same person that punched, Prime Minister Anwar when he was in prison. So he knows that, if the government, because it was Mahathir government, Mahathir appointed him, but Mahathir government collapsed, and then in the next election, Anwar Ibrahim became the new prime minister, and we all knew that this Rahim Noor's days would be numbered, and then he was removed as the facilitator. Of course, because Anwar doesn't want the person who punched him to be the facilitator in this very important process. So Anwar then appointed his close friend, Tan Sri Zulkifli Zainal Abidin, this guy in the middle. Okay, General Wanlop was still the head of the Thai Peace Panel, and Ustaz Anas Abdul Rahman, was still the head of the BRN Peace Panel, except that we have since early 2023, a new facilitator, General Zulkifli Zainal Abidin, former chief of the armed forces and the vice chancellor of the National Defense University. Okay, so now, okay, he comes in very eager. I remember I was working on the process at that time, and he was saying that, look, we have to find a solution to the situation as soon as possible, because Anwar Ibrahim, our prime minister, wants this process to be successful as soon as possible. It'll be not only good, for the not only good for the people of Patani, people of Thailand, but also will be a feather on his cap. So he wants something done very quickly. So he was really pushing for the process to move forward. But he was lucky because at that time we were already discussing, a certain move on how to move forward. So remember that, we have this general consensus, and the general consensus already lay out the sort of like the groundwork for future discussion. So these general principles of the peace dialogue, these are the things that we have to focus on. So this would be the base of our discussion at that particular time. Okay, so again, photo of the the two panels, and this was early last year, and then we were working on something called the Joint Comprehensive Plans Toward Peace, the JCPP, and this is the preamble of the JCPP, recalling the spirit of the general consensus from before, the dialogue process, the Berlin Initiative, the general principles of the peace dialogue from 2022, and identifying, that this is our way forward. This is what we want, the joint comprehensive plan towards peace. Okay, and so this is how it looks like. Okay, this is how it looks like. So the JCPP, basically is a document that tries to lay out the roadmap towards peace in Southern Thailand by focusing on a number of things. One is this on reduction of violence or cessation of hostilities. We put slash here, reduction of violence and cessation of hostilities, because there was a disagreement a bit about, about the use of the term. Okay, the use of the term is the reduction of cessation, because in the Thai document it says reduction of violence. Okay, but the BRN, does not want this, because they don't want this to be like the goal of the talks. It's not about trying to reduce violence. We want to end the conflict once and for all. We want to cease or we want a cessation of all sort of hostilities. Okay, so there was a disagreement in the both the technical meeting and the formal process about the use of the term. So we decided that okay, let's just maintain both at the same time. And this is important because under the JCPP, they would agree to things, to certain things that have to be implemented, have to be implemented on the ground. And then it also lays the foundation, for the mechanism of the peace process. And the mechanism would include obligations, what would the Thai government have to do, for the process to work? What would the BRN would have to do? They have to commit, to pull out, their troops. They have to commit to not to use violence, in the struggle. So a lot of things that they have to commit. So it was put on the table, and they were, arguing and bargaining as to what would be, the obligations of the two groups. And then at the same time, we were also discussing about the monitoring. How do you monitor these things? How do we ensure that the two sides, would be doing the things that they were supposed to do? Okay, so and this is when it gets a bit tricky also, because the BRN, wants to have the involvement of international monitors, and the Thai government said, no, this is an internal issue. We don't want international monitors. But then the BRN said, look, we do not trust you, 100% yet. So we need guarantors, we need observers to come in and be part of the process to monitor, that everything is in order, that we are actually doing things that we are supposed to do. So a lot of debates, a lot of discussions going on in terms of how do we implement, how do we monitor, these things. And then secondly, on public consultation is important, especially for the BRN, because the BRN said, like, look, we do not have the chance to go back inside the country, inside Thailand, back to our areas, because if we go back, we will either be killed or be arrested. But we do want to have some space, with our community, with our people, so that they can give their inputs to us as to what we should put on the table, what we should put, as our demands and all those things. But they do not have that space. So they need to have some kind of public consultation in order to solidify and to make their case, stronger, when they go to the negotiating table, especially when they go to the next step of finding some kind of political solution, for the process. Because in the next round, the next part, we were going to be talking about form of governance and the issue about economy, education, human rights, and all those things. And they said that we need to have public consultation, and exercises, done, within our own country, so that we can get inputs from the people. But we need to have guarantee, we need to have some kind of guarantee from the Thai government. They were not really asking for amnesty or anything, but security of movement. And they say that's why we need the international actors to be part of the process. So the three items, the cessation of hostilities, reduction of violence, public consultation, and the finding of the political solutions are all connected, to each other. So, the BRN put this in their document, and then whatever was put by the BRN then was taken by the Thai side, and they come up with this particular diagram, and then presented back to the BRN with timetables. Okay, and this was actually before the election last year. Okay, but the BRN said that, look, we cannot agree to this yet because there are certain points in there that we are not sure of. So we need still to discuss among ourselves whether these are the kind of things that we should agree with, in the documents, because the details are still a bit debatable, to them. And then they say that we are not sure whether, we are not sure who's going to come in as the next government. We are talking about before the election last year, and we want to make sure that, the government that we sign will be the government to implement. We don't want to sign anything, and then when the new government comes in, they will not, implement whatever, that we sign. So they said no. So for that reason, nothing was actually signed last year. And they were saying also that the time frame is rather short, because if you look at this time frame, given by the Thai government early last year, this September 2024, we will have a peace agreement already. And then the BRN said, no, this is impossible. Okay. So I'm looking at the time. I'm sorry, I'm taking a bit longer, but I think these are important things for me to highlight. So the JCPP, basically, we are looking at it. Some issues, whether reduction of violence or cessation of hostilities. They want to have also some opportunities to do public consultation. Public consultation, so it needs to be in there. So other issues that have to be discussed would be the monitoring. How do we go about doing the monitoring, the scope of the areas, time frame, and all these things. Even the scope of the areas actually is something that is problematic, because the BRN want to have a wider area, that they include in the negotiation. But the Thai government said, no, we want to focus only on Patani, Yala, and Narathiwat, only these three provinces, because this, this is your conflict zone, and then the BRN said, I remember the BRN said, well, if you want the conflict zone to be expanded, we can do that, and then the next day, a railway line was bombed in Songkhla, which is outside of the original, three conflict areas. So these things, go on and off. So let me see, just quickly going. JCPP document, I was hoping to show a JCPP document, but I think time will not allow me to go through the JCPP documents. Okay, and this is the basically the new this is the new plan. This is the new plan, that was discussed. That was prepared. This wasn't discussed yet in detail. Because some of these are still ongoing, but this is to put everything in a bit of a clearer picture. So you have the JCPP, and then you have this reduction of violence, public consultation, political solutions, and then what needs to be done now. When are we going to discuss these things? And so I will just show this, and you can ask me later on. We are still in the process at the moment of doing the technical meeting to discuss the details, especially of number 1 and number 2 here. We have not started discussing political solutions yet. We are just looking at the process. In any peace process, there are steps. And we either focus on the process or we focus on the outcome. But we cannot focus on the outcome as such at the moment, because there are still a lot of discussion that needs to be done on the process. So now it's mostly talking about the process, but once this is over, and once we start doing the public consultation, then we can start talking about what kind of political solutions that can be done to get to that agreement in the future. So this is all recently, just a couple of weeks ago, few weeks back, where the two parties meet again. This is for the formal process. And if you notice, all the members of the BRN panel are wearing Malay costumes instead of suit and tie like before, because for this last few years, there have been an upsurge of nationalistic Malay identity sentiment among the Patani people. Okay, so there is a call now, to do more programs which would highlight the Malay Muslim identity, and everybody's going around, to going around wearing. Then apa dia? So these things, so they're wearing, they are wearing this Malay national costumes. Okay, so yeah, this is the panel, and this is your Thai panel. With the new Thai panel has got a new head of the panel from the National Security Council. He deputy at the National Security Council. Okay, so not General One Lop anymore. So you have a civilian as head of the panel, not not a general anymore. Okay, so photos from the recent talks. Okay, so some of the challenges of the peacemaking, some of the challenges in the peacemaking would be that different agenda and focus. I've mentioned that before in terms of security of justice. Also, we have been discussing these things. Representativeness, inclusivity, potential spoilers, pressure from facilitator, maybe, to get the process going. Multiple tracks, this is something that I've not talked about, but there have been other groups, other international groups that have been involved in the process. For example, humanitarian dialogue, has been interested to come in and help out in the process, and they have brought the two sides, the BRN and the Thai government and representatives, to look at different cases in other parts of the world. They went to to Europe, they went to other places. And the same thing with the Sasakawa Peace Foundation from Japan. They have also been going down to Southern Thailand and to help out, especially the peace building process involving the civil society organizations and doing activities on the ground. But they have also been they have also been involved with the BRN panel in terms of advising them on what to do and all those things. Berghoff is more, Berghoff Foundation from Germany is more on the ground with the civil society organizations, and they help to start this group called the Insider Peace Builders Platform, which is a good civil society organization platform involving participants from both the Muslim and the Buddhist communities. And then at the same time, you also have local demands. Local demands meaning that there are various groups on the ground, putting in, their demands on what the process, should look like. And there have also been some groups actually that have been making quite radical demands, saying that, look, the BRN people are in the process. Maybe they are, forgetting that our struggle was for independence before, and then they are compromising too much. And this actually has put a lot of pressure on the BRN at the table. So you have all these things, affecting, the process at the same time. And as I mentioned earlier, the rise of Malay nationalistic sentiments and Melayu Raya or Greater Malay sentiment, this has been ongoing for the last few years. Gathering of Malay Muslim youth, wearing the national costumes and going around saying that we are Malay, we are Muslims, and we want our dignity and our sovereignty and all those things. But the government then came down with the SLAP strategic lawsuit against public participation, and a few of the organizers were actually asked for questioning, not really arrested yet, were taken into questioning for organizing these events. And then they are saying that, look, you shouldn't be doing these things. But then the organizers are saying that, look, we are just demanding that we have the right to, be Malay, be Muslim, and should not be arrested for doing these things. And then you have also all these other activities done by the various civil society organizations, to highlight the identity, Malay Muslim identity, but at the same time also to, to put forward their support to the peace process, because the peace process is something that to them is good, because this is a process that will bring peace to Southern Thailand without the need to use weapons, by going to the table and having a dialogue. And this is something that they want to support. So they have been organizing all sort of activities, to support the peace process. And we just have to wait and see, what happened next in the peace process. But a lot of these civil society organizations are ongoing, both within the country and also outside the country, especially here in Malaysia. And I will stop there. I've been talking too much. I'm sorry, Sowit, for taking too long.
Okay, thank you very much, Sam. Well, we still have time for question discussion. I have to admit that some of the documents that Sam showed, I never seen it before. So that's that this ongoing process haven't been publicized very much in Thailand. So maybe I should start by asking former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Thailand.
He's gone.
Please.
Kazit is still
Sister
here.
Kasit, yeah. Is he here? Is he still there? I haven't. You see?
I don't see him. I think
he left?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyone like to ask questions or comments, please raise your hand or write in the comment box, in the chat box. I'll read it if you don't want to ask by yourself.
I see Rebecca.
Okay, Rebecca, please.
Hey, Zam. Your presentation on conflict resolutions over the years have been very motivating. And thank you for your continued effort in sharing the progress, especially of this particular case in Southeast Asia. I remember at one time in a conference in Korea, there was hope that there was going to be, I think you presented a paper with giving us hope that they were nearing the end of this conflict. And then it seemed like that didn't hold, like in many other situations where there is hype and hope, and then suddenly there is a breakdown in talks and so forth. 2 points I want to make. The situation in Cameroon and many African countries is getting worse. And I always draw inspiration and guidance from your talks about conflict. Listening to you and presenting the facts, it seems achievable on paper, but practically we know the dynamics that play into these kinds of things. My question is, we've had ups and downs in these talks for many years. Is there an end in sight? Is there an end in sight? I know there is hope. There's always been hope. but nothing fruitful has so far materialized. Do you see this conflict, this peace movement coming to an end anytime soon, maybe by the end of this year? And again, thank you for your motivating, encouraging presentations and advice on conflict resolution.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Becca. Do I answer directly, or you want to me to
Yeah,
wait?
yeah, you can answer or you can comment.
Yeah. Well, we always have to be, optimistic, but because if we do not be optimistic, if we do not have hope, then what's the point in doing all these things? But looking at the situation now, I think as I cannot put a timetable. I cannot put a timetable saying that this whole thing will end by this end of this year, for example. Because if you look at the timetable that that I presented earlier, the the end should be by 2024. I don't think that is something achievable, because we need to do a lot of things before we get there. We need to look at how to do the public consultation. Before we need to do the public consultation, we need to make sure that the details of the public consultation is agreed upon. The role of the different levels of monitors, we have to agree upon. So a lot of these things are still in discussion, and sometimes, we feel that if we, if an agreement is not is defective, do not work with a defective agreement, because it will just make things even worse. So we always try to make sure that everything would be, at least proper a bit, before we move, forward. But I think if you ask me whether there is light at the end of the tunnel, I would say yes. I would say yes. But there are things that we need to do first. A few things we need to do before. Maybe not this year. Maybe earliest would be maybe I would say end of 2025 or in 2026. I think we can get to the end. But as long as we keep the momentum going, okay, as long as we can agree on some parts and keep it going and going, at least that gives some hope for the people. But we have also to remember that the people will be impatient if we don't come up with some kind of solution also soon. Okay. That's all I can answer. Sorry, Rebecca.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to ask question? If no one yet, I just.
May I?
Oh, okay.
May I?
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Zam. Okay, for your updates. Okay, of the southern part of the Thailand, particularly that area, Patani. Okay, peace process. I heard about the area from Zam. Okay, Dr. Askandar, you some years ago, your first presentation. Okay, and
In
as
Korea.
yeah, right. It
Korea.
was new to me. But here some members already mentioned that the women should be included in this peace process as a representative. So I'd like to you can explain about any possibility or somewhat the women are not represented. I mean, not involved in fully. Is that because of the religion? Because there's mostly the Muslim as dominant And that is just a reminder, I mean the other members, they mentioned the women's representative, I mean the participating this process. And while listening to your this peace process, and you said one of the this system some challenges, one of the challenges is multiple tracks, okay, multiple tracks, and that reminds me of multi-track diplomacy, okay. So Christel is here, the Madam MacDonald is here. The U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Dr. MacDonald, okay, Dr. Ambassador MacDonald was here in our conference more than 10 years ago, right, in Seoul, and he emphasized that the multi-track diplomacy, different sectors should be involved in. So I hope later, maybe Christel, you can add a little more comments, okay, on this part, this multi-track diplomacy. And I wonder, even though this process is somewhat established, some agreement or something, but depending on the political leadership, okay, new leadership of this Thailand, like a case of Mindanao is not stable sometimes, depending on the new leadership. So how about this Thai government is quite some conservative, okay? This the leadership. So, what do you think of this? The political leader of this Thai government will play very important role in this peace process. So, would you make a little more comments on this part? Okay, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I was hoping, that question can be answered by a Thai person. Unfortunately, our former ambassador, has left the room. Maybe it was
Yeah.
maybe it was something that I said also. I don't know. I hope not. I hope he was not offended by whatever I was saying. But yeah, change in leadership now. I think um. uh, both positive and negative. Positive is that now at least we have a civilian government in Thailand. Okay, it's no longer a military led government. So it's civilian government, and even in the panel you have the members of the panel are mostly civilians, and then the head of the panel is also a civilian. So you have that change. That is positive, because I think civilians, I think they think maybe a bit more differently than military people. Okay, so that is a positive side. Um, at the same time, the negative part I would have to say, would be okay. Again, still on the positive side, because I think in the chat box also people, Nadia mentioned about the peace committee formed by the government, because at the parliamentary level they form a committee. Then the committee then went out and do consultations with the people, brought in people from various groups, various viewpoints, and they listen to the people in the meeting, in the committee, and all these things. And then this form part of their whatever position that they have on the south. So this one is something that is also positive. And then there are also women groups that come in and give their opinions and all those things. Okay, so on the negative side of it, it's not really negative. I mean, depends on how you look at it. Because the present Prime Minister Seta, is a businessman, right? So
Yes.
he
Yeah.
thinks in terms of baht and dollars, and ringgit, and then how you can develop an area and make profit from these things. And he the first time he went for a meeting with our Malaysian Prime Minister, they came out both smiling and agreeing, look, we can solve this problem and we can make this into an an economic area that can benefit all parties, including Malaysia and Thailand, and they're gonna pour in money so that this area can be an a viable economic area. And to him, that is good enough already. But I say this negative because this conflict is not about the economy. It's not about development. It's not what the people of Patani actually is fighting for. They are not fighting for more development, fighting for money and all those things. They want other issues such as governance, historical grievances, justice, and all these things, education, all these things, to be addressed. So to them, then if you are just coming in and giving us money and thinking the problem is resolved, that's not going to stop us from fighting. So that is the negative part, of the new leadership, I think. But we'll see lah. We'll see how. We'll see how it goes. I mean, it's still a bit early. In fact, it took him a long time to say anything about Southern Thailand. He didn't make any statement. When he became the new prime minister, he did not make any statement at all for a long time. Maybe trying to figure out, what to say, what to do, in Southern Thailand. Then he came out with a statement about economic development and then for prosperity, and all those things. So the change, of course. So of course, the change in leadership, would be important, in any peace processes. And sometimes we hope that civilians or people who think more peacefully can be conducive, for a peace process. And I say hope because that's not necessarily the case, because sometimes we have civilians who are even more militant, than the militant themselves, so we have to be careful, And I remember, when we were doing things in Southern Philippines and we wanted to get everything signed at the end of the term of President Aquino, because he was pro-peace. And we were thinking that at the end of his term in 2016, he can sign a peace agreement and even start to implement these things. But certain things happened, Mama Sapano incident and all those things, and then it was not actually achievable during his administration. And we were worried because coming in would be President Duterte, a hard man, from Mindanao, very, very aggressive, and say things, whatever he wants to say, and then make everybody upset and all those things. And we were thinking, oh no, it's going to be difficult. But then again, because he was like that, he was able to bully all those people, that might not agree, with the process, for them to agree. And he said that I'm from Mindanao, I want peace in Mindanao, and he was really pushing, for the process to be implemented, so sometimes you have that. So with change of leaderships, we just have to sometimes wait and see. In terms of women in the peace panel, actually, if you look at the Thai panel, they do have women in the Thai panel. They have members who are women in the Thai panel. In the BRN panel, yes, it's a bit difficult, because of this Muslim ideology. It's difficult to have a woman who doesn't have some sort of like it's a bit difficult. It's a bit difficult. But I will tell you that they do have women in the advisory capacity, for the BRN. So they do have women's group that they consult, and they do have women's group that would come in the discussion, before the process is on. So they do have those things. Yes, I
Okay.
think I answered the
Yeah.
question.
May I add that the change from the Thai side right now, the governor of Pattani is woman and also Muslim. So that's probably quite a big step, because in the past we always have governor in the three provinces of Thailand, either someone who made some mistake or something, and then the government just sent them there as a sort of like punishment. Now, for the change, I think one of the key factor would be the role of Thaksin, who's now coming back, and sort of like in some Thai circle, they believe that he is super prime minister behind the present prime minister. And right now he's sort of like try to talk with the leader of the group in Myanmar about problems in Myanmar. He went to Phuket to meet with some people in Southern Thailand, something like that. So we may have to wait and see. Okay, Abdullah, I saw you raise your hand, please.
Hello everyone, my name is Iqbal. Thank you so much first of all for explaining such a great study case in peaceful study. So my question is just since we have talked about can you guys hear my voice, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you. We
Yeah,
can
yeah,
hear your
yeah.
voice,
We
but there's
hear-
some
we hear
noisy,
you.
noisy.
Yes, go
Yeah,
ahead.
in the public place, maybe.
Okay, so since we have talked about the BRN, the Malay Muslim groups. So my question is, do you think, like, how crucial you think the political identity in realizing a peaceful and conducive environment? I mean, if the Malay Muslim group identified themselves as just as a Muslim group, would it still lead to conflict? Or because in Thailand, of course, they also have Muslim, but of course they're not Malay. So if they those Muslim Malay group have recognized themselves as just Muslim group, would it also lead to conflict? That's all. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Sam.
No, I'm not sure I understand the question, but to many of the people in the South, I think it's important for them. This question of identity is very important. Because they also equate identity, together with religion. Okay, so that's why it's a Malay Muslim Patani, and this is to identify themselves, different from the Thai Muslim,
Thai
which
Muslim.
may not be Malay, and there are also a lot of Thai Muslims, in the country, but they don't have a problem, they don't have a problem with either their identity or the way that they are being treated. They live in Bangkok, they live in Isan. Imran
Yeah.
is a Thai Muslim also, and then you have a lot of these people, no problem. But to the people in the South, identity is an issue, because over the years they say that because of the one Thai policy, especially during the period of the Fibul Songkram in the 1940s, they have forced them to take on Thai identity to the point that they are losing, their identity. And when you equate your identity, with other things like language, for example, they say that, look, our young people, they don't know how to speak Malay anymore because the educational system is in Thai. The government administration system is in Thai. Everything is in Thai, and we are losing our identity. We are losing our language. So now there is a resurgence of bringing back, saving our identity and bringing back our identity. And in terms of not only language but everything, everything, including like the way that they dress, so that's why in the last few years there have been an upsurge in gatherings involving youth coming together, wearing that Malay costume that I was showing in the discussion earlier, proud saying that we are Malay, Muslim, and this is our identity, and we want to to tell everyone that this is what also we are fighting for. So question of identity actually is closely connected to all these things and important for the people of the south of Thailand. I think Ambassador Kasit, now welcome back. I was worried why you went away.
I have to make an international call. Sorry. I just have a couple of points to add to what has been said. The first point is that the present Speaker of the House of Representatives of Thailand is Mr. Wan Mohammed Noor Matha.
Yeah.
He is from the deep south, from Yala. And his political parties have 6 or 7 seats in the House of Representatives. My point is that there is no discrimination in the Kingdom of Thailand, and any Thai Muslim, whether of a Malay stock or whatever and so on, can always rise to the top of the Thai administrative hierarchy and so on. We did even have an army chief who was a Shiite Muslim. My predecessor at the Foreign Affairs, Dr. Surin Pitsuwan, was a Muslim foreign minister. So in that sense, everyone has the same freedom and citizenship. That's the first point. Second, at the time of the Tak Bai incident and the drug wars under Prime Minister Thaksin, Mr. Wan Mohammed Noor, the present Speaker of the House, was the Minister of Interior. Okay. The other point is that when I was in the Aphisit government, in between the Thaksin and the Yingluck government, we did work with the Switzerland's, the humanitarian center. And we have had a lot of discussions with the various groups of the Thai Muslims and so on. We were also in touch with the then Malaysian government. So there was some sort of continuity of the conversation between whichever Thai government and the Thai Muslim counterpart, with the Malaysian side as the facilitator. So there is that continuity of the attempt. Second is that when we were in the Aphisit government, we reintroduced the Java, the local language, Yavi, as the second official language in the southern part of Thailand. We supported the Muslim, Court of Justice for marriage and inheritance. And the problem with the identity now is not because of the Thainization, but it's more of the Arabization of the Thai Muslim community or the Muslim all over the world. So the problem has no more to do with Buddhism domination or Thainess domination. And I think the Thai Malay Muslim can have all their identity, restore their identity and all of this and so on. My only proposal to the whole thing of the conflict is for the Thai government to withdraw all the soldiers out of the 3 southern provinces and allow the local police and the civilian administrator to deal with the situation. Because the presence of the Thai military establishment is deemed by all the Muslim countries and the OIC and so on as a military occupation. This is something that the Thai government has to really take into consideration seriously. And there should be an sort of the across the board amnesty for everyone. Thai soldier, Thai police, the armed insurgencies and so on. And we can start anew again under a very open democratic kingdom of Thailand. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we have to wait for you to come back as a minister.
Right.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that. You know, please come back as minister so that we can at least get something moving on. And that is part also of the part of the demands during in this present process. That emergency law and all these things should be lifted. From the south. But I think on the side of the Thai government, they said that at the moment maybe not yet, but they are willing to remove, for example, some roadblocks and to stop the DNA, provide the taking, exercises and all those things. But the BRN are saying that look, we want more than that. So discussion about what needs to be done, and then I think recently, when the activists have been slapped with this strategic law against this thing, I think that is also something that needs to be addressed as well, because if we are saying that they are allowed to gather in public places wearing their national costume and all those things, the government should not be taking any action against them, because at the moment the cases against the organizers of these activities, the cases are still ongoing. So some of those things, can show a lot of, I think, a lot of good intentions, on both sides, and we always have to focus on those things. Yeah. But thank you.
I do agree fully. I do agree fully.
Yeah.
Any questions? Any more questions?
Can I have one question?
Yes, please.
Are you aware of any external interference, the funding and the financing by some of the Middle East country, the Gulf state and so on, or even by the Iranians authorities? Are they interfering in the southern part of Thailand? And what can we do in order to prevent that? Thank you.
I'm not sure if I have seen anything like that. I think money that have come from the Middle East have been mostly to support things like education. The University Patani there gets money from Saudi and some other places. Mostly for education and civil society activities. But I don't think not for the for the movement. Not that I can see of. Yeah. And by the way, those slides that I showed, those JCPP and all those things, if people are thinking that it's not really secret documents, because I think everybody who are interested in the Southern Thailand Patani process probably have seen it before, so it's not like I'm taking something secret and then presenting it to this group. But to be on the safe side, I will not share with you my slides, and I will not also, if you have taken photos of the slides and all those things, just please not to share those things, because the peace process is still ongoing. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
For your work along the way right now, are there any academics down south working with you?
Oh yeah, the academics are doing this all the time. The people from the various universities have been doing a lot of research work, training, dialogue. We have friends even from universities in Bangkok. Mahidol University has a peace building office that have various reconciliation projects, and peace building projects in the south. A lot of the things that have been done by scholars, from within the area and from outside. Okay, so in fact, that was how we got into that area in the first place, because I remember those days when the intensity of the conflict suddenly increased in 2004. It was not a very safe place to go or safe place to do anything. And the way that we went in was to do academic forum, seminar, and all those things, to discuss, because we work under the guise of academic freedom, and basically you can discuss even the more difficult issues. So that's how we got in there. And then we created also networking with the local scholars. And I don't know whether you remember this or not, Sweet. We also helped create the Southern Thailand Universities for Peace, Staff Peace Network, involving 6 universities in the south. And we train also a lot of their achans, a lot of their lecturers and their students. We created peace clubs here and there. So a lot of things were happening on campus. And a lot of these things that happen on campus were also carried forward by those young people, those students that were involved in our peace camps and all those things. After they graduated, they went out, they became activists, they became civil society activists and all those groups, and doing a lot of work. I remember there was there's a few guys working, students from the Prince of Songkhla University in Patani that went all over Thailand and played music in the night markets. And when people come and listen to their music, they then to start explain about the situation in the south, and explaining that, look, we are all not terrorists, we want peace, we want to spread our words of peace all over Thailand. And they actually went, I think, like 2 months all over the country, to do these things. So a lot of work actually started from campus. A lot of research have been done, by scholars, people at the PSU, Prince of Songkhla University, working in the Deep South Watch, which is a very respectable program, looking at the numbers, how many people have been killed, injured, and all those things, looking at trends and patterns and behaviors of those that are involved in the conflict situation, as well as affected by the conflict situations, and came out with many good reports. So I would say, yes, a lot of good work done by various academics and scholar groups, within the area itself. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. We probably can take one more questions.
Okay, Christelle McDonald.
Yes, Christelle, please.
Thank you. I learned so much and really got deeply involved with your presentation. The one thing which you mentioned is the question of identity. And actually, I think people have always worried about their identity. But for me, it became so clear that suddenly the people became so interested in identity when the word globalization appeared and became something better understood. And then we got to see what globalization means. And I noticed in my own neighborhood, I mean, we all like our own nest, our own home, where we feel they have the identity of our own language, of our culture, of our religion, and so on. And in my neighborhood, suddenly in Arlington, outside Washington, D.C., there are little neighborhoods. We have signs up. I live in the so-and-so neighborhood. I live in the Cherry Blossom area. I live near the firehouse. People try to build their nest. And sometimes the nest is not just the home which has a name, but it has some a particular kind of clothing we are wearing. We suddenly want to show, if I want to show that I'm German, I put on my dirndl dress. So then I make sure that people know where I'm coming from. So that's my little comment about identity. We feel it everywhere around the world now. People want that identity and they say so. Before they didn't do so. The second thing which you mentioned is this deadline of September 2024. And through the work which John MacDonald did, it became clear to me that wherever people had set deadlines, whether it's at the UN meeting, we have to finish on the 27th and that's it. Deadlines are most of the time an enemy of any successful work which is done. So I understand your doubt that whether really September 24 can be achieved. And the other thing is you have such a long list of challenges, and I could not find out, and I see the goal, but I don't see a list of priorities. I could not give you the list of priorities. And what you are talking about, with so many men around, I noticed the absence a little bit of women, even though I'm not a feminist strong one. Is there anything you can do in small little broken up pieces, like little pieces of a pie here and a pie there, so that communities can do that, so that they get together and understand one community working together with another small community, one little village with another, so that there is some success, small success, which the people can understand. And I'm sure you are doing that to a certain amount. And what I like best is, of course, when you mention public consultation. Well, I really want to see more than just consultation. I would like that to result in something more than just consultation, but also hearing what the public wants to say. And there was one other issue, where was my little note, where you say, and I like that, difference between reduction of violence or cessation of, what did you call that?
Hostilities.
Hostilities. You know, that is exactly the issue which is now in action between the United States and with Israel. There's, on the one hand, Mr. Netanyahu, for the moment, might consider a reduction of violence, that is, by going very powerfully into Gaza. But Mr. Biden wants the cessation of the hostilities. So that is such a big difference, and not on a moral issue too, which plays into all the decisions. So I know that you have a lot of challenges. I have no solutions, but all my prayers that your work will continue to go on successfully. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Christelle. You want to
I will just
have a short comment, Sam? Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just comment. I cannot guarantee that it's going to be short, but I'll make some comments. You know, that last point I think is very important. You know, because in our field also we talk about negative peace and positive peace, and to me, reduction of violence will create peace, but only negative peace, because you are not addressing the real issues. You know, so that's why I think on the side of the BRN, they are pushing for, you know, if we want to solve this, let's solve all the issues and try to, you know, we are willing to put down our weapon, they say, and then as long as we can, you know, move on toward the cessation of hostilities. And I think that that's important. In terms of doing my best and here and there to get, you know, the involvement of more women in the process, I think if you look at the process in a way, you know, not the formal peace process as such, you know, because of course there are challenges to bring women in there, but on the ground in the peace building process, there are a lot of women involved in the building processes. And a lot of these women have been doing a lot of good work. I mean, I have a friend who's doing, you know, this project, you know, working in the small village who have, which have been affected by the conflict, to the point that, the people there don't trust each other anymore, and then but then a group of Muslim women and a group of Buddhist women decided to come together and to start like a village project, to make, local food. And they actually, work together. And this is, to me, part of the reconciliation process, at that ground level. So I think a lot of activities done, at that particular level, especially. But yes, we need to look at the issue of including, more women in the formal process also. I
When
see.
you
Sorry.
go ahead. No, I
No.
want to say that when you go and be a speaker somewhere, you mostly see the women sitting in the back rows, the gentlemen are in front. So if you are a male speaker, do what Mr. McDonald did. At some point he wove into his speech, the women are the peace builders in the world, and you will always be liked and successful in your speech if you give them the right.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Thank you, Miss McDonald. But just this past week, I was at a program, where we have more, almost 5,000 participants at the program, and the women and the men, they do not sit one. The men did not sit in front, and the women sit at the back. But then sitting arrangement is on the side, So one side is all men. One side is all women. So you have women from the front all the way to the back, men from the front all the way to the back. I think that was good. So that there was, they were on parallel, parallel space. I think, and then, I don't know, I'm not sure how much you know about Southern Thailand, but the Southern Thailand women, they are very, very productive. If you go to the business areas, to the markets, and, the buyer and the seller are mostly women. I don't know what happened to the men, but the women are so much involved in running the business and doing all sort of activities. Very, very active. Yeah. So I will stop there, Sweet, unless you want.
Okay, thank you very much, Sam. I put my high hope on you and keep up the good work. I'll return
We
the
have another
microphone to
one
Sangho.
more. Okay,
one more.
moderator, just
Okay.
let
Okay.
me just welcome first. Okay, Professor Irina. Okay, Sotirova. Okay, Sotirova from the Bulgaria. Okay, in the Bulgaria, and the Sofia University Department of Korean Studies, as far as I know, and I invited her to this forum, and I really welcome her to our forum. Okay, so Irina, would you make? Where's Irina?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, please.
yeah.
Right. Your question and
you.
your comments first, okay?
Thank you so much. It is only a short comment. It's not a question. I'm from the Korean Studies Department, and Thailand is not my field of specialization. But I'm very glad to be part of this forum, of this conference, and I would like to share my opinion on the globalization and how this affects building national identity in all the countries. It is the same situation in Korea. It is the same situation even in my country, in Bulgaria. And it unfortunately affects the academic world too. So a lot of institutions and people are trying to prove uniqueness, that we are something different, that we are something with unique culture. I think that we all, it's good to overcome this separation in groups in the academic world, and also, of course, with diplomacy in the political situation. I just wanted to send my congratulations to the organization and to giving me the chance to participate in this interesting discussion. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. By the way, we do have Southern Thailand woman here. Nadia is from Southern Thailand. Nadia,
Really?
can you show yourself? Nadia, she's a student of mine. You know, working in Southern Thailand, Yala Rajabat University. You want to say something, Nadia?
Go ahead, please.
Hello, I'm Nadia Bayo. I'm a Prof. Sam student for PhD, and I've done my work on my thesis on this peace building in Southern Thailand. So yeah, basically everything Prof. Sam has just mentioned is covered is covered in all the dimensions. And for Dr. Aisha, that you just mentioned the women, I think now under the this new government, not the military government, they have include women in the peace committee, and one of my students is also in the peace committee. So it's like a youth, they put youth like on 19 years old as one of the like a member of peace committee also. So I think it's a good start. At least we have hope, like Prof said, that we should have hope for this. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Okay.
Nadia.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Song Ho. I think it's your closing remark and announcement.
Okay, thank you very much. Professor Askandar, we call him Zam. Okay, Zam. Okay, Zam. Thank you very much for your presentation, updates of this topic. Okay, and we expect the next year or some year you can also participate this forum if we still continue. Okay, and with the updates and. Your presentation, and we learn about the Southeast Asian issue, particularly the Thailand. This is borderline between Thailand and Malaysia. Okay, and so the peace process is very important, and it will be a good model. Okay, good model, and as an expert in this area, okay, Professor Askandar. He is doing research, not only theory, but the practice, practice, action. I always admire him. I met him around 10 years ago, and he's always moving, even though he participated in our conference, always carrying, at that time, without no smartphone, big camera, and he's, take photos all over Korea, in Seoul. And I thought, he is a very action-oriented scholar, action-oriented scholar, and it's true, right? And so I'll invite you to our forum again. And Dr. Sweet, as usual, your contribution and your service as a moderator, as our committee member, thank you very much. And today, just several, some students, really welcome to our forum. And particularly, I really welcome and thank you, Irina, Professor Irina, from Bulgaria, Sofia University, because, in July, my History NGO Forum will hold our conference there in Sofia, in collaboration with the Sofia University, the July 1st, and July 2nd, we'll have another university, New Bulgaria University. So online, I met her. I haven't met her in person, but I will expect, I'll meet her in July. And she's a former dean of the Department of Korean Studies, former dean. And I was very impressed. She translated a very difficult Korean, the classic is the Chinese, written Chinese into the Bulgarian. I was very impressed. So I'm sure I haven't spoken to her in Korean, but her Korean will be very fluent. Must be fluent. Maybe later I'll talk with her in person, Korean. And also I saw the Kazit, the Ambassador Kazit. Thank you for your comments, okay, today. Wonderful, Ambassador Kazit. And the Kazuya, okay, the Kazuya-san from Japan, good to see you, okay. Also, my good friends, James Uf, Mr. James Uf from Cote d'Ivoire, from Africa. And I'm sorry I couldn't give you, time is up, as an expert of like, dialogue for peace and social this dialogue, okay, okay, and maybe he has lots of things to share, okay. Okay, so I'll announce our next program 2 weeks later, okay. My History NGO Forum will invite the one speaker from the Balkan area, okay, Balkan area, from Serbia. Okay, Serbia. He's Mr. Askandar Totosevic or something. He's he's history teacher and he's the author of history textbook, and he's president of Serbia Association of for Society Social History. Okay, we call it Euroclio chapter. Our partner, okay, my history partner, and his topic will be like history education or history textbook, because as you know, the former Yugoslavia, okay, they are divided into 7 or 6 countries, and their history textbook like development or this education, I think will be very interesting, particularly to me, okay, to me. So I hope if you can spare time, May 23rd, okay, 2 weeks later, I will also send a notice to you, invitation. So if you could spare time, I welcome you, all of you, to our forum, okay? Until then, stay healthy, and I should say, okay, bye-bye, okay, here.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Suntal.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.